When Hind and I got married, her mother, with a voice laced with seriousness and dread, told me, "Do not anger her or sadden her for any reason. She is not like any other girl." Of course, I took this advice as any typical advice from a mother to her daughter's husband, and I didn't think much of it. We lived 3 years of an ordinary married life until that fateful night occurred. The discussion between Hind and me was simple at first, but escalated into a fierce argument. In the end, I erred and stormed out without apologizing. Little did I know that moment would mark the beginning of a series of strange events that would change my life forever. The next day, I started noticing Hind's odd behaviors. When I returned home in the evening, she was sitting in the corner of the kitchen, staring blankly at the ceiling. For the first time, I noticed that her long black hair reached below her knees and shimmered unnaturally in the dim light. I tried to talk to her, but she did not respond. She just continued to stare blankly, as if she were seeing something I could not see. As days passed, her behavior grew increasingly strange. Sometimes I would find her staring at me in a terrifying way, as if she knew something horrifying about me. Other times I would leave her in the living room and go to the bathroom, only to turn around suddenly and find her standing quietly behind me, gazing at me with that unsettling look. The situation reached its peak one night when I woke up at 2 in the morning due to thirst. As I entered the kitchen to drink water, I was stunned by a sight that nearly stopped my heart. Hind was standing on the wall, leaning on all fours like a spider, staring at me with a blank and terrifying gaze. I felt as if I were in a nightmare, but the pain in my chest confirmed I was awake. At that moment, I could bear it no longer. I rose from the bed, trembling, and passed by her as she gazed at me with that horrific look. When I told her what was happening, she cut me off by saying, "Didn't I tell you never to anger or sadden her?" I answered in confusion, "How did you know about our problem?" Her mother replied in a faint, terrifying voice, "Your wife has been with me for 2 days. Why haven't you come to reconcile with her?" I froze in my place, unable to believe what I was hearing. If Hind was with her mother, who was this in my house? I looked at Hind, who was now standing in the middle of the room, and remembered the warning. Her face began to change slowly, revealing a demonic expression. I understood then that I was facing a force beyond explanation. Slowly, Hind began to approach me. Her wide eyes gleamed with madness, and her long hair swayed around her as if it had a life of its own. I tried to retreat, but my legs wouldn't respond. I felt as if I were nailed to the spot. The closer she got, the heavier the air around me felt, as if she were sucking the life out of the room. When Hind reached a close distance to me, she suddenly stopped. She touched my face with her cold hand and said in a voice that was not hers, "I warned you." At that moment, I felt an intense coldness sweep through my body and I collapsed to the floor unconscious. When I woke up, I found myself in a hospital room, surrounded by doctors and nurses trying to revive me. They told me I had been in a coma for several days, and they found me alone in my house. Later, I learned that Hind's mother had come to visit me and assured them that I was under significant psychological stress. But I couldn't shake the feeling that what happened wasn't just a hallucination. I left Hind from that moment on and never returned to the house that witnessed those horrifying events. People say I lost my sanity, but I know the truth. There are things in this world that cannot be explained, and ancient spirits inhabit places and avenge those who ignore their warnings. I learned the lesson well and will never forget it.